Scott Safety is a world leader in the design, manufacture, and sale of high-performance safety equipment and products for first responders, industrial workers, and governments around the globe. We have an unwavering commitment to deliver quality products and solutions designed and built to solve real-life problems. With over 80 years of experience in the safety equipment industry, our close collaboration with our customers and a heritage of innovation have enabled us to consistently deliver solutions that keep you safe. Hello, and welcome to the SKA Pak AT Supplied Air Respirator Operation and Maintenance video. This program is intended to familiarize you with your new Scott supplied air respirator with automatic transfer. In particular, we will demonstrate general description and unique features of your new SKA Pak AT supplied air respirator, inspection of the SKA Pak AT supplied air respirator, preparing the respirator for use, donning the facepiece, donning the SKA Pak AT supplied air respirator, use of the respirator and automatic transfer feature, termination of use of the SKA Pak AT supplied air respirator, and cleaning and disinfecting the SKA Pak AT supplied air respirator. The SKA Pak AT is referred to as a combination SCBA airline respirator. It operates as either a positive pressure Type C supplied airline respirator when using air from a remote air supply, or as an escape-only, self-contained breathing apparatus when using air from the cylinder on the waist belt. The cylinder air supply is to be used only in the event that the remote air supply system fails, or if the air supply hose is damaged and must be disconnected for emergency escape from the work area. The SKA Pak AT offers the additional unique advantage from traditional respirators of this type due to its automatic transfer pressure reducer, which can detect an interruption in the supplied airline air pressure and automatically switch to the breathing cylinder, warning the user through the VibraAlert end-of-service time indicator in the facepiece-mounted regulator of the change in air supply. The sound of the VibraAlert warns the user to immediately leave the area to a breathable environment. Overall, the respirator consists of an adjustable harness to support the respirator on the body of the user, a cylinder and valve assembly for storing compressed breathing air, an automatic transfer pressure-reducing regulator and coupling mounted on the cylinder valve, a cylinder pressure gauge with an electronic alarm, an airline connection hose, one or more segments of air supply hose to connect the respirator to an air supply system, a hose assembly connecting the pressure reducer to the facepiece-mounted pressure demand breathing regulator with VibraAlert, and a full facepiece assembly. The name EasyFlow with VibraAlert refers to the mask-mounted regulator. The EasyFlow with VibraAlert alarm regulator warns the user with both sound and feel that the supplied airline pressure has been interrupted and that the reducer has automatically transferred to the cylinder air supply. The breathing regulator is also equipped with an air saver donning switch to prevent rapid loss of air if the air supply is turned on before donning the facepiece, or if the facepiece is removed before disconnecting the supply hose, or before turning off the air supply. The air saver switch is located at the top of the regulator cover. The user simply depresses the air saver switch to deactivate airflow through the regulator. To restart the flow of air, simply connect the regulator to the facepiece, inhale sharply, and breathe normally. An additional alarm mounted on the right shoulder is electronic and becomes actuated when the cylinder pressure drops below 90% of full rating, warning the user to leave the hazardous area. The electronic alarm requires one 9-volt battery for operation. Scott full face pieces are available in a variety of styles and sizes, approved for use with the SKA Pak AT supplied air respirator. The face pieces may be readily detached from the breathing regulator to allow for the use of the best fitting and the most comfortable size or style face piece for an individual user. To use the Scapekat AT combination respirator as a Type C supplied air respirator, it must be connected to a suitable supply of clean breathing air through one or more segments of air supply hose. The air supply system must supply air containing no less than 19.5% oxygen and meet the Grade D requirements of the Compressed Gas Association. In addition, the air must be dry, to a dew point of minus 65 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 54 degrees Celsius or lower. The air supply system must have the capacity to meet the user's volume requirement for respiration while maintaining the required supply pressure of no less than 60 psig and no more than 125 psig at the point of attachment of the respirator airline connection hose to the air supply system. The coupling installed on the air supply system must match both the coupling installed on the air supply hose and the coupling installed on the airline connection hose. The correct coupling must be directly installed on the air supply system. Adapters shall not be used. The air supply hose segments must be directly coupled to the airline connection hose at the waist belt of the respirator, to each other, and to the air supply system. Adapters shall not be used. The Scapekat AT is available in a number of configurations for use with 2216, 3000, or 4500 psi cylinders, as well as different cylinder use time durations. The combinations of cylinder pressure and time durations represent NIOSH standards available for airline respirator use, and the actual duration may vary depending on activity and respiration rate. Keep in mind that reference to these cylinders is identified as rated durations, and the actual time you achieve from the cylinder will vary depending upon your activity, respiration rate, and a number of other factors. The harness is available in several styles. There are two versions of the standard harness. A flame-resistant waist and shoulder harness made of Kevlar. This harness has a black webbing with yellow stripes and metallic buckles. The other harness option has a corrosion-resistant waist and shoulder harness made of black nylon webbing with non-metallic buckles. Finally, there is the option for an integrated full-body harness, intended only to be used in accordance with both the user's respiratory protection program and fall protection program. If opting to use this version, refer to the additional instructions on application, fitting, maintenance, and inspection of the full body harness equipped with the harness. If the potential exists for exposure to heat and/or flame, use only face pieces with the Kevlar head harness and respirators with the Kevlar harness material. Regular operational inspections are required as a part of an organized respiratory protection program. Scott recommends that the Scapekat AT be inspected upon receiving the unit and shall be inspected regularly after each use or more frequently following your company policies. Note that a respirator not routinely used but kept for emergency use shall be inspected at least monthly. If damage or discrepancies are noted during the inspection of the respirator, remove the respirator from service and tag for repair by authorized personnel. With a bit of practice, inspection before use of the Scapekat AT can be performed quickly and easily. In our demonstration here, we'll show you how to conduct your prior-to-use inspection of the Scapekat AT. To start, visually inspect the respirator as a whole for completeness. Now we'll move on to the cylinder inspection. Check the cylinder's latest hydrostatic test date to make sure that it has been tested within the prescribed time according to the appropriate DOT specification. Remember, it is the responsibility of the user to ensure that all DOT requirements for the self-contained air supply cylinder on this respirator are met and maintained. Visually inspect the cylinder and valve assembly for physical damage, such as dents or gouges, in metal or in composite wrapping. Cylinders that show physical damage or exposure to high heat or flame, such as paint turned brown or black, decals charred or missing, or melted pressure gauge covers or cylinders that show evidence of exposure to chemicals such as discoloration, cracks in the cylinder or the composite wrapping, peeling of the outer layers of the composite wrapping, and/or bulging of the cylinder wall, should be tagged, emptied of compressed air, and removed from service for further inspection by authorized personnel. Check the cylinder gauge for a full indication. If the cylinder pressure is less than full, replace the cylinder with a fully charged cylinder or have the cylinder charged to the full condition. Next, we'll inspect the harness. Carefully inspect the complete harness, making sure that the waist and shoulder straps are fully extended. Check the harness for worn or frayed webbing or damaged buckles or components. If damaged, the unit should be tagged out of service and returned for repair by qualified technicians. The Scapekat AT is equipped with a unique cylinder attachment device known as the Easy Clip Cylinder Retention System. Always make sure to inspect the Easy Clip hanger bracket and the female buckle. The Easy Clip valve hanger bracket should be securely engaged in the female buckle and not lift out with normal handling. To remove the air supply cylinder from the harness, press the release tab at the bottom of the Easy Clip hanger bracket away from the cylinder valve to remove the Easy Clip valve hanger bracket from the female buckle. First, inspect the gauge and electronic alarm for damage or modifications that may impair the intrinsic safety. The electronic alarm requires one 9-volt battery for operation. Verify that a fresh battery is installed. Inspect the pressure reducer for exterior damage. Check the high-pressure nipple coupling gasket, making sure it is present and in good condition, and that the nipple is not damaged. Inspect the cylinder valve outlet for bent or damaged threads. If the gasket is present and in good condition, and the valve outlet is undamaged, thread the coupling back onto the cylinder valve using hand-tight pressure and install the cylinder back into the Easy Clip retention device. Inspect the airline connection hose for cuts or damage. Check that it is installed tightly into the pressure-reducing regulator at one end and that the plug is free from dirt accumulations at the other end. Clean as required. Care must be taken to remove any dirt accumulations or obstructions from the plug without allowing them to enter the airline connection hose. Each time the respirator is inspected, always make sure to inspect each section of airline supply hose to ensure it is ready when it needs to be used. Hose inspection should include making sure the hose is clean and there are no deformities to the hose itself, and that the couplings are present and operational. Check the end fittings of the hose for dirt accumulations or obstructions. Clean the fittings as required. Make sure to check the hose connections as they would be normally connected. Now let's cover the Easy Flow with VibraAlert regulator inspection. Check to make sure the regulator hose is not damaged and the hose is secured to the reducer outlet. Inspect the connection of the low-pressure hose to the regulator, making sure it swivels freely. Inspect the regulator cover, making sure it is intact, and there are no signs of cracks, dents, or damage. Turn the regulator over and inspect the regulator gasket, making sure it is fully seated and does not exhibit any damage such as chips or tears. Don't forget to check the regulator locking latch, making sure that both retaining screws are present and the latch slides up and down smoothly. Now press and release the regulator air saver switch and make sure the regulator purge knob is closed with the indicator at the 12 o'clock position. This will prevent the regulator from free-flowing air after opening the cylinder valve. Connect the regulator to the facepiece. Do this by aligning the regulator to the facepiece with the purge knob in the 12 o'clock position to the facepiece, ensuring the flats of the regulator are aligned with the flats of the facepiece. Rotate the regulator clockwise in the facepiece until it clicks into place. The facepiece should be inspected regularly as a part of your facility's respiratory protection program. This chapter will walk you through the inspection of the facepiece and head harness. On the outside of the facepiece, look at the lens. Make sure there are no cracks, gouges, scratches, or other conditions that may interfere with the operation of the facepiece. Make sure that nothing interferes with the wearer's vision. Inspect the lens frame or bezel for damage, cracks, or distortion. Ensure all lens frame retainers or bezel screws are present and installed correctly. Look at the voice emitters or speaking diaphragms located on the right and left side of the facepiece. Make sure they are both present and the edges are sealed by the rubber voice emitter duct, and that they do not show any signs of damage, dents, or deterioration. The AV3000 with Sure Seal is fitted with a nose cup that is gray in color. Inspect the nose cup for cuts or damage. Make sure the nose cup is seated properly in the voice emitter ducts, and that it is fitted in front of the face seal. Next, look carefully at the facepiece seal and other rubber components. Make sure there are no cracks or other signs of wear or damage, and that there are no deformities. We will show inspection using the Kevlar head harness. However, if you have a polyester or rubber head harness, the steps for inspection are the same. On the AV3000 Sure Seal, there are 5 head harness attachments anchored to the facepiece seal. Make sure that all harness anchors are present and operating correctly. Inspect the head harness for correct installation with all straps oriented correctly. Check the head harness for worn or damaged components. If you find any problem with the facepiece, head harness, face seal, nose cup, voice emitter ducts, or combinations of problems, remove the facepiece from service and tag for repair by authorized personnel. The respirator must not be worn when conditions prevent a good face-to-facepiece seal. See the operation and maintenance instructions for full details for donning, use, and termination of use. Before using this facepiece, a respirator quantitative fit test must be performed to ensure the correct respirator facepiece size has been selected and assigned to the user. Be sure to install approved accessories that will be used with the respirator when performing the fit test. Please refer to the operation and maintenance instructions for your specific respirator for instruction and information on fit testing supplies and procedures. The donning procedure is the same for Kevlar, polyester, and rubber head harness versions of the AV3000 facepiece with Sure Seal. Here we will show donning using the Kevlar head harness. Adjust the head straps to their full outward position. Hold the facepiece in one hand and hold the head harness by the strap at the base of the head net. Place the facepiece on the face with the chin properly located in the chin pocket while pulling the head harness over the top of the head. The chin must be properly located in the chin pocket throughout the donning process. Stroke the head harness over the head and ensure that straps are lying smooth and flat against the head and neck with no twists. Verify the head harness is centered and properly located at the back of the head. While holding the facepiece in place with one hand, gently tighten the neck straps evenly one at a time by pulling each neck strap toward the rear of the head. Alternate hands to maintain the facepiece in position on the face. Continue by tightening the temple straps evenly one at a time by pulling each temple strap end toward the rear of the head. Tighten the forehead strap by pulling it toward the back of the head, being careful not to over-tighten. Verify that the head harness is centered on the crown of the head and lying flat against the back of the head. Make sure that the straps are not twisted, the face seal is flat against the face, and there is no hair or clothing under the face seal. The donning procedure is the same for Kevlar, polyester, and rubber head harness versions of the AV3000 facepiece with Sure Seal. Here we will show donning using the Kevlar head harness. Once the facepiece is donned, you are ready to perform the negative pressure leak check. Cover the front opening of the facepiece with your hand to stop ambient air from entering the facepiece. Inhale slightly and hold breath to create suction. The facepiece will be pulled slightly toward the face. Hold breath for 5 to 10 seconds while checking for leakage. If leakage of air is detected, adjust the head straps or facepiece slightly, or the facepiece can be removed and redonned. Repeat the negative pressure leak test and ensure no leaks are present before using. Now we'll begin the operational testing of the respirator with the system fully pressurized. With the cylinder valve turned fully open and the system pressurized, don the regulator. Next, turn the cylinder valve on fully by turning it counterclockwise until it stops. The VibraAlert will sound, and the electronic alarm on the remote gauge will flash for approximately 5 seconds to initialize. No airflow shall be detected at this time. Inhale sharply to start the flow of air. Hold your breath for a few seconds and listen to hear if there is any outward airflow. If leakage is noted, turn the cylinder valve off and remove the respirator from service and tag for repair by authorized personnel. Now breathe normally. Breathing should be free and unrestricted. The VibraAlert will continue to sound. After a couple of breaths, depress the air saver switch fully. Release and take the facepiece off. There should be no airflow from the facepiece or regulator. With the cylinder valve open and the air saver donning switch depressed, check the open end of the fitting on the airline connection hose for any sign of leakage. If leakage occurs, do not use the respirator, but remove it from service and tag for repair by authorized personnel. Close the cylinder valve by pushing in on the cylinder valve knob while turning it fully clockwise. Vent any trapped air in the respirator by opening the purge valve momentarily. Close the purge valve when all airflow stops and the VibraAlert is no longer sounding. The electronic alarm should also stop flashing once all air has been released from the system. Check the gauge on the air cylinder to be certain the cylinder still indicates full, or if necessary, replace the cylinder with a fully charged cylinder when all your inspection steps are completed. The purpose for the self-contained air supply on the SKA Pak AT respirator is to provide breathable air during escape from objectionable, oxygen-deficient, and/or unbreathable atmospheres. Before initiating any activity which requires the use of the SKA Pak AT respirator, determine both the normal exit route and one or more emergency escape routes to an area with a safe, breathable atmosphere. During normal exit, the respirator will be supplied with air through the air supply hose from the air supply system. Emergency exit routes shall be such that they can be traveled using the self-contained air supply. Determine the amount of air supply hose required for the job and ensure that it is less than or equal to the maximum allowable length of that type of hose. Be certain that the air supply system is providing safe, respirable breathing air and is compatible with the air supply hose. Be certain that personnel who are knowledgeable in the operation of the air supply system are present to monitor and maintain the supply pressure at the point of attachment of the air supply hoses to the air supply systems. Verify that the air supply cylinder gauge is reading full. If the gauge is reading less than full, replace the air supply cylinder with one that is full. Now we will don the SKA Pak AT. Harnesses are configured standard to place the air supply cylinder on the left hip. Grasp the shoulder strap such that the facepiece is toward the front of the wearer, and the air supply cylinder is next to the left foot. Pass the shoulder strap over the left shoulder and head onto the right shoulder. Draw the waist belt around the waist with the air supply cylinder at the left hip. Insert the male connector into the female connector until engaged, as evidenced by a click. Test for positive engagement by pulling on the buckle. Remember, the harness must always be worn so that the shoulder strap and waist belt connection buckles lay flat against the wearer without twists or wrapping under the waist belt. Adjust the waist belt. Tighten or loosen the waist belt by sliding the waist belt tri-slide buckle. Adjust the shoulder strap tri-slide buckle so that it remains in place on the right shoulder and holds the waist belt at waist level. Position the required length of air supply hose and prepare it for use by connecting the segments to each other and to the air supply system. Adjust the pressure at the air supply system to the operating pressure of the respirator. Repeat this step for each air supply hose and each air supply system to be used. Adjust all head straps to the full outward position. On respirators equipped with a neck strap, place the neck strap around the neck. Check to be certain that the hand coupling between the cylinder valve and the pressure reducer is tight, and that the breathing regulator purge valve, the red knob on the regulator, is closed or turned fully clockwise. Depress the air saver donning switch and release. Connect the supply hose to the airline connection hose on the respirator. There will be no flow of air from the facepiece at this time. Congratulations! You are now in standby condition with the respirator donned and in place, however not in use. Now, we will show you the use of the respirator. Ensure that the supply hose is connected to the airline connection hose on the SKA Pak AT. Don the facepiece and regulator assembly. Once the facepiece is donned, if the regulator has not already been connected in standby position, install the mask-mounted regulator to the facepiece. If properly engaged, the regulator will not rotate. Inhale sharply to start the flow of air. Take several deep breaths to check the operation of the respirator. Breathing should be free and unrestricted. Next, fully open the cylinder valve by turning the valve knob to the full counterclockwise position. The electronic alarm will flash both lights for approximately 5 seconds to initialize and stop. The cylinder pressure gauge on the electronic alarm shall read full. The VibraAlert shall not actuate, and breathing shall continue normally. Check the air pressure at the point of attachment of the air supply system to the supply hose during inhalation and exhalation. The air pressure shall meet the operating pressure requirements for the respirator at all times. Check the face-to-facepiece seal by holding your breath. Airflow into the facepiece should stop. If you hear airflow through the regulator or feel airflow past the face seal, do not proceed. If a good facepiece seal cannot be made, do not use this respirator. Now we'll move on to the testing of the SKA Pak AT automatic transfer feature. Before entering the area requiring respiratory protection, always test the automatic transfer feature of the SKA Pak AT respirator. In order to test the automatic transfer, briefly disconnect the air supply hose from the airline connection hose. The SKA Pak AT shall begin to supply air from the air supply cylinder and actuate the VibraAlert end of service time indicator. Immediately reconnect the air supply hose to the airline connection hose. Air shall be supplied to the respirator from the air supply hose, and the SKA Pak AT shall cease supplying air from the cylinder. The VibraAlert end of service time indicator shall stop. Perform this test quickly to maintain the supply of air in the cylinder. If the electronic alarm red light begins to flash during or after the above test, check both the gauge on the air supply cylinder and the pressure gauge on the electronic alarm. If the cylinder has dropped below 90% of full volume, the electronic alarm red light will continue to flash. Replace the air supply cylinder with a full cylinder before entering the area requiring respiratory protection. During the use of the respirator in the hazardous atmosphere, if the VibraAlert actuates at any time or the electronic alarm red light begins to flash, you must immediately leave the hazardous atmosphere and determine the cause of the alarm. In non-emergency use, exit from the area requiring respiratory protection is normally made by retracing the path used during entry, so that exit can be made while air is supplied by the air supply system. After leaving the contaminated area and arriving in a safe, breathable atmosphere, doff the facepiece, remove the facepiece and terminate respiratory protection as follows. Be certain that respiratory protection is no longer required. First, loosen the head harness straps by simultaneously lifting the buckle release levers outward away from the head and pulling them away from the face. Next, depress the air saver donning switch fully to prevent free flow from the facepiece, and remove the facepiece by pulling it up over the head. Close the air supply cylinder valve by pushing in on the cylinder valve knob while turning clockwise. Now, disconnect the air supply hose from the respirator. Finally, to terminate use, remove the respirator and tag for inspection and cleaning. If conditions in the workplace require emergency evacuation during respirator use, the preferred procedure is to egress with the respirator connected to the air supply hose, following the path taken during entry into the workplace. If it becomes necessary to disconnect the respirator from the air supply hose for egress, for instance, if the hose is entangled or if it is necessary to exit by a different route, the user shall disconnect the hose and immediately leave the area requiring respiratory protection. The VibraLert end-of-service time indicator alarm shall actuate, indicating that the respirator user is now breathing from the air supply cylinder. The electronic alarm red light shall actuate when the air supply in the cylinder has dropped below 90% of full. If either the VibraLert end-of-service time indicator or the electronic alarm actuates at any time during respirator use, leave the area requiring respiratory protection immediately. After each use, the respirator should be thoroughly cleaned and disinfected, following the procedures as described in the operation and maintenance instructions originally supplied with the respirator, or by the procedures contained in your organized respiratory protection program. We will briefly run through some of these cleaning procedures here. If you have not already done so, disconnect the facepiece from the regulator by depressing the regulator latch and turning clockwise until the red purge knob is at the 12 o'clock position, and separating the regulator from the facepiece. Refer to your respiratory protection program if decontamination of the respirator is required. This section covers cleaning and disinfecting but does not include decontamination. With the regulator and other adapters and hoses removed, carefully wash the facepiece and harness in a warm water solution containing a mild detergent. A soft cloth may be used to scrub extremely dirty areas. A soft brush may be used to wash the harnesses and elastomeric parts of the facepiece. Rinse thoroughly with clean water using a spray bottle or running water. Shake off excess water and then disinfect if necessary. It may not be necessary to disinfect the facepiece if reused by the same wearer. Use Scott's recommended disinfecting and sanitizing cleaner. Prepare the disinfecting cleaning solution as outlined in the instructions that come with the cleaner. Disinfect or sanitize the facepiece by spraying 3 full pumps of the properly diluted disinfectant on the outside of the mask, and 3 full pumps to the inside of the mask, wetting the entire mask, including all rubber and plastic areas. Let the mask sit for 10 minutes before rinsing. Rinse thoroughly with clean water using a spray bottle or running water. Shake off excess water. Dry the facepiece with a lint-free cloth, or gently blow dry with clean, dry, breathable air of 30 psig or less. Do not use shop air or any other air containing lubricants or moisture. Heated blowers must not exceed 110 degrees Fahrenheit or 44 degrees Celsius. Examine the facepiece to be certain it is complete and in serviceable condition. Remove any obvious dirt from the external surfaces of the regulator by using a Scott recommended sanitizing or disinfecting cleaner with a sponge or soft cloth. Inspect the inside of the regulator assembly through the regulator opening. If excessive dirt or soil is present, Forward the regulator assembly to Scott-trained authorized personnel for thorough cleaning. Depress the donning air saver switch and close the purge knob by turning fully clockwise. Use the Scott recommended sanitizing or disinfecting cleaner in the regulator opening and the immediate area around the opening. Be sure to cover the internal components completely. Refer to your user instructions for respirator-specific recommended cleaners and contact times for sanitizing and disinfecting. Wait 10 minutes. Rinse the regulator with drinking water using a spray bottle or gently running tap water. Shake the excess water out of the regulator. Be sure to completely air dry the regulator before use or storage. If the regulator was disconnected from the air supply for cleaning, reconnect and open the purge valve to remove any moisture from the regulator spray bar. Close the purge valve. Finally, perform the regulator check process per your operation and maintenance manual and ensure the respirator is completely dry prior to the next use and/or storage. To clean the rest of the Scapekat AT airline respirator, wipe all surface dirt from the harness, cylinder, airline, and accessories using a sponge dampened in a mild soap and water solution. Then, wipe off the components with a sponge dampened in fresh water. Be sure the respirator components and accessories are fully dry before storing, all harness straps are fully extended, and the cylinder is fully charged. Scott recommends that this respirator be checked both visually and functionally by a Scott authorized service center using Scott authorized test equipment at least every 2 years. However, heavy use may require more frequent testing. This recommendation is in addition to all other cleaning and maintenance procedures. A manual covering the maintenance of this respirator is available on request from Scott Safety. This video has been produced by Scott Safety to familiarize you with your new Scott Scapekat AT respirator. Remember to follow your department's procedures when operating, inspecting, or cleaning your new Scapekat AT respirator. Should you have any questions about your new Scapekat AT respirator, you can contact your Scott Regional Manager, Field Service Specialist, or Scott's Technical Support Group at 800-247-0000.